and scroll. Talk and scroll. Talk and scroll.
Subscribe. What's going on? This is TNS Time and Space, and I would like to welcome you to episode 13 of Talk and Scroll. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to like, comment, and subscribe, and also make sure you don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can be made aware of any time that I post new content. But anyway, now that the housekeeping is done, first of all, this article has been gaining some traction. This post, I should say, it is in regards to the singer Muni Long. I found out that's the way to pronounce it. I don't want to say how I pronounced it before, but anyway, it's Muni Long. She turned down a free feature from Drake in 2008, because her ex-boyfriend was jealous of Drake pulling up to the studio. I stopped returning his calls. Now he is the top artist and my ex moved on. That's rough. That is rough. So obviously, this particular post has attracted lots of comments, and obviously this channel is called Talk and Scroll. So I wanted to scroll through some comments. I mean, as you could imagine, people were saying that she made a mistake, you know what I mean? Saying, gotta let her make those moves, bruh, sheesh. I could agree with that. He didn't believe in her and he played her for a fool because of his insecurities. You could certainly argue that. I mean, there's nothing like regret, you know what I mean? But I wanted to scroll down to a particular comment that went against the grain a little bit, because obviously you have people saying that was stupid. She should have gone ahead and gotten that feature, and that the boyfriend was wrong to, you know, express displeasure with that. So I want to scroll down, and I wanted to show the scrolling because this particular post caught my attention. It says, I respect the fact she held her relationship as a priority and was honest with herself. Fame and fortune are not promised in music. Who knows what strings came with that feature? Nothing is free. Every Drake collaboration, I'm not sure what that part is. It said every Drake collaboration hasn't made the other person successful. I mean, ultimately, you can argue that, you know, basically you could say that nothing was promised. Perhaps there were strings that we don't know about. However, if we key into the fact that nothing is promised, that goes both ways. So fame and fortune are not promised. Perhaps she could have done the feature. Perhaps there were strings attached. However, it is definitely not promised if you don't do it. The only thing that is promised is that it doesn't work out, as in you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's a popular basketball analogy. So basically, yes, you could have said, well, you know, you don't know for sure that that feature would have done anything for her career, but you never know. It's better to ask, you know, forgiveness than permission. And it's also better to try and fail than to just regret not doing it. So I imagine that if it were me, I would have to tell myself that, yeah, well, you know, nothing was promised. And, you know, Drake in 2008 wasn't Drake in 2022, but it all starts somewhere. It all starts somewhere, and you just never know. And that also speaks to the importance of investing in yourself. It was an investment. Nothing is promised, because if you're a relatively unknown artist, I hadn't heard of this person, but you never know what can happen. You never know who's going to become what. And perhaps that feature could have led to something bigger. It could have led to something more prominent. Perhaps she could have signed to OVO. You really don't know. So it's easy to just focus on the negative. I believe that's a way to comfort yourself, just to say, well, you know, there's been stories about Drake and about the music industry, and maybe he would have made me join the Illuminati or some nonsense like that. But that's a way to comfort yourself, because if you didn't try and you have that regret, how are you going to soften that blow? So when I'm looking at this, somebody said, it's business and she's a singer. A feature with Drake would have propelled her career. Her boyfriend didn't care about that. He was just jealous and in his feelings. His insecurities got the better of him. So the person responded, they said, yes, it's a business. In 2008, you can't say this would have been a definite boost to her career. She took her significant other's feelings into consideration. Humans, when they are being honest, do experience jealousy at times. So many variables contribute to a singer having success. Right. But I mean, if it just goes by somebody's jealousy and insecurities, should you limit yourself? I mean, ultimately, or at the end of the day, you could say that he could have joined her at the studio, for example. He could have been there at the studio. There could have been some sort of arrangement, but there has to be some trust because I imagine that unless the boyfriend is an artist also, she's going to have to perform by herself. I imagine that since 2008, she's been to venues and conducted business without her boyfriend around. And the article even says that the ex moved on. So somebody else, I won't go exactly to that location in the comments. I don't want to take too long, but they were arguing that, you know, unless it's your husband, that you shouldn't have that much weight or there shouldn't be that much consideration. And somebody said, if we keep it real, Drake would have smashed her. Well, there has to be some trust involved. I mean, what if she has to go on tour? Should you then say, for the sake of your relationship, that the person can't go on tour? You're not going to be able to be around them 24/7. So there has to be some trust involved. As far as would the feature have propelled her career? I mean, I imagine that anything after 2009, she could have promoted the fact that she had a song with Drake and it was for free. You know, do you know how much it cost to have Drake as a feature? I imagine it would be six figures at least. Six figures at least, if not seven. And this was a free feature in 2008. This is when Drake was on the cusp of superstar. Well, not even superstardom. He was on the cusp of stardom. I first heard about him, you know, as far as a huge buzz in 2009, but he was on the cusp of stardom. So was it guaranteed? Of course not. But by not doing it, it was certainly guaranteed that she'll never know. It's a guarantee that she'll never know because she didn't try for whatever reason. And people can say, oh, Drake would have smashed her or what have you, but we don't know that for sure. So people are saying, well, you never know what would have happened. I would hate to be on my deathbed wondering what if. I would rather be on my deathbed saying, you know what, I had a feature with Drake. Maybe I would tell a story about how I too became big. Maybe I didn't, but I could always say I have a feature with Drake. I could always say I did a song with Drake. Who knows where that may have led to? So somebody said money and business are different. I would have said when Drake pull up, you pull up, but I have to work. I agree. I most certainly agree. You have to have some trust. You have to have some support because you never know where things may go. So this person said every Drake collaboration hasn't made the other person successful. Well, guess what? You'll never know if you don't make the collaboration. And I can tell you from personal experience, regret is painful. You know, failure is nowhere near as bad as regret. So if she had done the feature and it didn't take off, at least she would know that, hey, I got to do that feature with someone who would become one of the world's most popular artists. And you can always say you did that. Of course, there are no guarantees, but there are guarantees when you don't take opportunities. When you don't take opportunities, it is guaranteed that you'll never know. That's a guarantee I wouldn't be willing to accept. So someone else says, if we keep it real, Drake would have smashed her. Nobody understands the perspective that you laid out, that nothing is for free. As a music artist manager, I can tell you the industry is extremely sleazy and demonic. She has no idea what that guy saved her from. If you don't have a manager that treats you like family guiding your career, then you're going to get destroyed behind the scenes. I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't know that you could necessarily guarantee that Drake would have, you know, made her join the Illuminati or whatever the case may be. I know that the music industry obviously has its reputation, but she is a singer. I mean, she's obviously in the industry now, so she was able to navigate it and become, you know, notable in some way. But I just think that's a chance that you have to take, in that the boyfriend could have been present or she could have made whatever arrangements that she wanted to. And this person rightly responded, relationships aren't promised either. And he probably cheated, reason why they're not together now. I don't know that, We don't know what did or didn't happen. And honestly, that's not what's relevant to this story. What's relevant is that she chose not to pursue an opportunity to satisfy someone else. But we have our own lives, we have our own paths. So again, I come back to the deathbed rule. Would you rather say that you had an opportunity to do a feature with Drake, but you decided not to appease someone else? Or would you rather say that you did the feature and either it blew up and that was amazing, or it didn't blow up and it was still amazing because you took the opportunity? And you can always say that you did a feature or you received a feature from the biggest artist in the world, or someone who went on to be the biggest artist in the world. Who knows what that may have been worth? Who knows what that credit would have been? Who knows what those masters might be worth or would have been worth? You'll just never know. And that's the regret that I wouldn't be willing to live with. As far as decisions and consequences and whatever the case, I would rather take the chance and live with what happens. So ultimately, that is what I wanted to speak on. So for everybody out there, please take your opportunities, invest in yourself. You never know who is going to become what. You never know who is going to become who. You never know what may happen. Ultimately, we have to take those chances, take those risks. And if it's that much of an issue, then your significant other can be present. So that's all I got for right now. This is TNS Time and Space. This has been another episode of Talk and Scroll. Y'all take it easy.
Talk and scroll. Talk and scroll. Talk and scroll.
Two.